What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champion, flyweight champion, the bantamweight champion of the world. And I got a public service announcement to all you wannabe MMA casuals or MMA fans for that reason. You guys make sure to listen to my boy Story of the Fight with Will and Miro. You know why? Because Triple C said so. And if you don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C 2.
Dude, we probably should have started recording before, so everybody heard about our fucking dietary issues. You with vegetables and me with with fruit. Now that I think about it,
I feel like it's fine to not eat fruit as much. I feel like you got a little bit better diet than I do.
I don't know, man. I don't know, because fruits have a lot of nutrients too, and I'm just vegetable heavy and no fruits. You're fruit heavy with no vegetables.
I don't think I'm fruit heavy.
No?
No, I just don't. I mostly eat meat, cheese, and bread, and that's pretty much it.
Oh shit.
And then occasionally I'll get fruit.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not actively seeking out the fruit.
No, unless it's like randomly I'll like really crave it, and I'm pretty sure that's because I'm like lacking vitamins.
Yeah,
so
your body's like, dude, hey, we kind of need this.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But like my In-N-Out order is it's gonna be 2 orders. It's either gonna be 3 double doubles plain, so just meat, cheese, and bun.
3,
and then fries, or 2 3x3s plain with fries, which is just 3 patties, 3 pieces of cheese and bread. I don't fuck with the sauce. I don't fuck with vegetables.
No, I remember that about you. Like when we were over here in Texas and we were ordering Whataburger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like everything you were ordering was just always plain.
That's what I want. I just want meat and cheese.
I don't come to mess around with any of the other shit. Just meat and cheese.
Because listen, if you're gonna make a good burger, it doesn't need all that shit.
That's true. That's true. No, I'm kind of the same way. I don't douse my shit in a bunch of condiments.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, maybe a little mustard, and that's it. I fucks with the pickle though.
I don't. I do not. Nope. I don't know. It's not even really a taste thing, to be honest. It's like a texture thing.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird that I like artichoke as like my only vegetable, because the texture of artichoke's weird as fuck. But
dude, artichoke hearts though, or like deep fried artichoke hearts?
Here's the weirdest part though. Here's the weirdest part. I like artichokes, but I don't like the heart. I just like the fucking leaves.
What? So you just like bite the end off?
Yep. And then once I get to the heart, I'm just like this mushy piece of shit. I don't want that.
I don't know that really counts.
Well, what's weird is the stuff on the end of the leaves is the same as the heart. It's just in smaller doses, but I like that. But I don't.
So you like to microdose your artichoke?
Yeah. Over one sitting.
That's awesome, man. All right, I mean, whatever works for you, I guess.
I feel like I'm doing all right.
Yeah. No jiu-jitsu for you today?
No, just taking that one off. Potentially hang out with my dad later today, and then I got some stuff going on later today and stuff. So
It's Labor Day, no jiu-jitsu?
No, just I got more stuff to do today, and I just don't. Now that I'm living over here, it's like a 35-minute drive to get over there. So
that's right.
It's like an hour and a half of class, but then it's basically like 2.5 hours to 3 hours of my day taken off in the morning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just takes a big chunk. I got kind of too much stuff to do today.
Well, dude, I was actually looking into getting back into it again because I was driving off Roof Snow over here, and like where that is.
Yeah, good old Roof Snow.
Yeah, dude. And Fitness Fight Factory just moved over there. So it's literally like 2 minutes away from me now. Like I just go around, the block, get on the main street, and it's like right there.
Nice.
So yeah, it's something where even if I'm working long days at work, I'd still be able to probably make it into a class in the morning and
Hmm.
not have to worry about a drive time like you do.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
that's sick. That'd be
We'll
cool.
see. Yeah, dude, watching Kelleher this weekend, I was like, oh, dude, I got to get back into this shit, man. It's so
Dude, yeah, his guillotine's fucking slick, dude. It's not his
yeah,
first
it
one either,
is.
you
No,
know?
I know. Yeah, and dude, last minute opponent Rodriguez, but yeah, and I like he came out aggressive, and I was like, okay, he's doing that because I mean he didn't have a training camp for this fight, right? So he's
Yeah,
probably thinking I gotta get in and get out as quickly as possible.
that's what he did.
Uh, yeah, just not on not on the winning end. He probably probably he did. He got in, he got
He
out,
got,
got paid.
yeah, he got paid 39 seconds.
39 seconds, yeah, man. And he went
Yeah,
for that. I mean, he went for the shot, and Kelleher just got him. And like you said, that was a tight guillotine, man.
yeah.
Tight guillotine. There's no way he was going to be getting out of that. Plus, it was early in the fight, right? So he's not
Hmm.
all sweaty or anything like that to help him slip out.
Exactly.
So
That's like, man, early guillotine. That's like, it's almost like shit. Can we just run it back real quick? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
If I got caught in a guillotine 40 seconds in, I'd be like, well, fuck, dude, that's not gonna work in the third round. Can we just?
just like in jujitsu, like just like a quick shake and dap, and then just go back at it again, like you got me on
Yeah,
the first one.
yeah,
You
cool,
know,
cool, cool.
it.
Yeah,
I don't think Uncle Dana would allow that.
yeah. Can we just call that a 10-8 round and we'll just keep going? Oh man, I would
Oh,
feel
that shit's
so
funny.
bummed if if I got subbed in 40 seconds. That fucking sucks. But props to Kelleher, he got that shit quick. That was cool.
Yeah,
I
got
like
it done,
Kelleher.
man.
I like that guy.
And props to Rodriguez too, Took the
Yeah,
fight, short notice, why not? See what
yeah.
happens, throw shit on the wall, see if it sticks.
Hmm. And
Why
it's stuck.
not? Around his neck,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, man. What was the other one that we were gonna cover? Was it Muniz?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, another submission, back-to-back submissions, first round armbar, looked good, and that was a cool one because it looked like he was setting up the triangle, and then as soon as he started
Yeah.
defending the triangle, he switched to that armbar and was like, "Ha, I gotcha." That shit,
Yeah, dude.
I love chain submissions like that. It's so sick.
Just a quick relocation of the hips and the angle at which the camera was. You're
Hmm.
like, okay, I don't know if the armbar was that tight, but then when they bring it to the other end, the right, and you see
Yeah,
how far back his arm was bending, I was like, oh shit, that looks super painful, man.
yeah, yeah. That was some slick stuff. Again, first round, a little bit easy, not easier, but uh, harder to escape. Not easier to submit, but harder to escape. You know?
Yeah, yeah, dude, and I mean, it was quick, but with Muniz, I think he also showed his takedown defense.
Hmm.
As soon as Fabinski was going for the takedown, you saw that wide base to start off, right? It made it really hard for him to take him down, and then uh, when he was finally down on the ground, you could definitely see that he kind of let it go to the ground.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think it was too much Fabinski, and you could see why. I mean, he was just ready, man. Working
yeah.
off his back, he did a great job.
Did a great
But
job. Earned an extra 50K.
not much to say about that fight because, like you said, it was another fast one. But I just want to give props to him.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, both him and Kelleher both got that extra 50 grand. So good on them.
Yeah, and then Pereira.
Yeah, Michelle.
So you asked me about this one, right? Because
Yeah.
you asked me why I didn't pick Pereira.
Hmm.
From what was considered to be the main card, that was the only fight I didn't pick correctly.
Hmm.
And I thought that how do you pronounce the name? Madeoff.
Uh, no, it's let me look at it real quick. It's Imadaev.
Imadaev. Based off the weigh-ins when Imadaev slapped him. Yeah, and I saw Pereira's reaction. I thought he was gonna come in a little reckless
Ah, so you
and
went
allow.
psychologist with
I
your
did,
picks.
dude, I did, and it fucking wrecked my picks.
Yeah.
And Imadeov, I thought with his boxing background
Yeah.
and with Pereira possibly coming in recklessly forward,
Might catch him.
that Imadaev might be able to catch him.
Hmm.
But instead, I saw a more focused Pereira more than before. And I'm not saying he wasn't focused in his fights previously, but I feel like he was more in the moment,
Hmm.
more focused on really dissecting his fighter instead of just trying to be extra flashy and putting on a show.
He was
He had a really good balance.
he was much more disciplined in this fight than he has been in the past.
He
Uh,
sure
a,
was.
a little bit more caution to the wind in his previous fights, and just throwing
Hmm.
flashy stuff for the sake of being flashy, and just a little bit not careless, but almost careless. Where
Yeah.
this one kind of just stuck to. I mean, his 1-2 and his straight punches looked so good, and his footwork with getting in and out to land those 1-2s, really good.
Yeah.
Had good snap on him, and like you said, Imadaev is a good boxer. But he was picking him apart and I think it was mostly to do with his use of his length and his footwork. Um, and back to the best personality video that we did of our top three personalities in MMA and stuff. And my number one
Yeah.
pick was Genki Sudo, and uh, he he's really starting to seem like a Brazilian Genki Sudo, where he's dancing in there, he's doing all this stuff. Not as like weird and out there as Genki Sudo, but it's definitely cool to see someone. He's someone that I wish the UFC still did like the ramp with the walk in instead of just like coming out of the locker room. And you can't do all your frills and stuff
Like
like that.
Bellator style.
Yeah, but I mean the UFC used to be like that, and like Pride, you could
Hmm.
do like like Anderson Silva came out as Michael Jackson that one time, was dancing his whole way there. Like most of the time, I'm not into that kind of stuff. But with someone like Pereira, I wish I could see what he would do. Just because, man, his
Yeah.
his ability to distract you with his movement, and then all of a sudden he's jumping off the cage to land a Superman punch on you. You're like, what the fuck? Where did that come? Like he's so seamless in his transitions from like place to place. Like he's just like he did some capoeira stuff with his feet, and you could tell Imadaev just kind of got stuck there, and then all of a sudden he used it to like carry his momentum into the cage, jump off, land the Superman punch, and you're just like, man, that's most people they really because we've seen people do this off the cage stuff, right? Especially with Anthony Pettis and stuff, but um, it's usually pretty traditional or standard in how they approach the cage to do it. They either just run up or they just push off real quick. He like had a setup for it, which is I think the first time I've ever seen someone actually really have a setup on how they're going to transition to jumping off the cage, which was super cool to see. And just like small little like steps of evolution kind of in the sport.
I would love to talk to his trainer because you're right. It almost seems like he trains that way
he
too
he
because it's
must.
so seamless. So
Yeah.
he's incorporating that into his training on a regular basis.
Yeah, he must do tons of sparring in the actual cage, drilling stuff like that. Because, man, to have the confidence to do a quick little dance and then jump off the cage and not like slip and fall and like look like a complete idiot,
Yeah.
he's kind of mastered how he's going to enter that transition. And yeah, he looked fantastic. I did not expect. I expected him to win, but I did not expect a rear naked choke at the end of the third round. That surprised me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people online talking about how it might have been an early stoppage. He didn't have the rear naked like sunk in all the way. Dude was there. He was getting beat up.
Yeah,
20 seconds left in the fight.
here's my
It was
problem though. Here's my problem with that, and it's similar to Chiesa versus Kevin Lee. I love both those guys, but he didn't tap. Um, the problem that I have with that is, yeah, I think the rear naked choke was sunk in. My
so do
argument
I.
isn't that it wasn't sunk in. My argument is that he did not tap. And yeah, there's what 20 seconds left in the round. Probably would have lost. He was losing the fight. He didn't tap. He was going to lose a lopsided decision. Um, but for me, it matters that we have to have officially the correct decisions on fights, and it's different for chokes. It's different than arm bars and stuff like that because. Well, even then, if you don't tap, you don't call the fight. It's not. Um,
But could you see
because
how he could have mistaken it as a tap?
I did see the first hand come up, and he was reaching for the arm, and it did look like a single tap, and everyone's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing the chail where he's going to do a fake tap, so you let go and then you can get out. But even if that's the case, he did not multiple he didn't do a multiple tap, and for me, he's now 0-3 in the UFC, and his last two fights say he was finished, where he didn't get finished. Was he going to get choked out in those next 20 seconds? Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, same with Chiesa, right? When Kevin Lee had him in that choke, he didn't
He was
tap.
going to go to sleep.
He was going to. But what are we doing? Like, this is not Little League where there's a mercy rule. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like submissions are there for a reason. You tap out or you get put out or you break your arm or whatever. And it's the ref's job to do that. It's not the ref's job to be like, no, he had you. Trust me, he had you. No.
Agreed.
You know? So it's for me it's not about whether he was going to lose anyway, so it doesn't really matter. For me it's like, yeah, but the method of loss now is different than potentially what it would have been. And I mean, you look at someone like Frankie Edgar, which up until the Ortega fight had never been finished in his whole career, you know? So, and that's like a thing that he holds with pride, and that's something that they can talk about. It's a talking point for how great he is, all these things, where if we're having referees stop fights before they tap or before they go out, before their arm breaks, all this stuff, it takes an accolade away from somebody who potentially, I mean, granted with Imadaev, he was finished his last fight, but it sets it sets a bad precedent. I don't like it.
I think that this is an exception, though. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is that I truly believe the ref thought he tapped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I'm okay with it. I'm not saying it's okay for the ref to make the decision for the fighter and just say, hey, dude, you're getting beat up anyway. Let's just stop it here.
Yeah.
Because at certain angles, I could kind of see how the ref thought when he was reaching up, grab hand, let go, goes back, how it might have been a tap.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he was trying to fight the hands
Yeah.
and see if there's any way he can escape. And I think it would have been so different if going into this last round, it was 1-1, really
Mm-hmm.
close fight, judges could have it either way, and then that happens and everybody's up in arms like, what the fuck did that ref do?
Yeah.
Now we're never going to know who was going to win this fight.
Yeah.
Instead, I think it's definitely a mistake from the referee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he tapped, but I don't think it's as much of a deal in this situation, in this case, because we already knew what the outcome was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do I agree with the stoppage? No. Do I think it's the biggest mistake, that we've seen in combat sports recently? Nah.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me though, the context does matter, right? He was losing the whole fight. He was getting outclassed. Um, but still, for me, it's like we need to look at finishes, especially submission finishes, in a vacuum. For me, so like it's similar to the Chiesa fight, similar to the Robbie Lawler Ben Askren fight. It's closer to the Lawler. I don't know. Um, you just have to look
That one,
at.
that one's rough too. The Lawler versus
I absolutely hate
Askren.
that one. Absolutely hate that
Yeah.
one. Uh, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that now he's been finished twice in 3 of his UFC fights. Was he going to get finished? Probably. 20 seconds left. He might have been able to fight the hands long enough to survive, and he lost a decision. If I'm a
Yeah.
fighter, I would much rather lose a decision than lose to submission. Especially after a 3-round
Yeah.
beatdown. I don't want to get submitted after that.
Yeah, and I don't know how much better it would have been for him, if you're a fighter and you lose, let's say 2 rounds, 10-8, and submitted. Do you think that would be pretty equal, or you'd still rather say, hey, well, I went out, finished a fight, and had multiple 10-8 rounds
I
against
would
me?
I would much rather have multiple 10-8 rounds against me than being finished. I think being finished is the absolute worst outcome in a fight. And on top of that, it's like if I'm in a choke, let me decide if I'm gonna tap or go out. And it is
Yeah.
different. It is different here because I do think the ref did think that he tapped.
Hmm.
Um, But man, if you're even semi unsure about it, especially with the context of this, if say he did tap and the ref thought, oh, he didn't tap, and then he ends up getting out of the submission, it's a little different because he's not going to win the fight. It's not like um, it's not like it was the upset or the other way around where he was winning the whole fight and then got caught. You know,
Hmm.
so if you're somewhat unsure about a tap, you just let it go. You keep it going, especially with a choke. Because if worst case scenario he goes out, and then doesn't matter. Then you call the fight. I don't know. It bums me out seeing somebody have a fight called against them in a submission where they didn't tap. It just bothers me so much. And people
Yeah.
and the Chiesa fight, people moved on quick about it. They're like, it doesn't matter. It matters to Chiesa. I can't even imagine what that would feel like if you're in a choke. It's different with him because it wasn't like he was losing the whole fight up until that point. But I
He
cannot
said it
imagine.
too. He said, "Let me go out. Let me
Yeah.
go to sleep."
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
fighter's decision at that
And
point, right?
and that one was a little different because he wasn't losing the whole fight up until that point, and he was losing, but it wasn't like the third round where it's like 20 seconds left to get a knockout. But he also didn't look like he was about to tap. The ref thought he went out, but I don't know. It just sucks. I
It's a
hate
tough
it.
one.
I just hate it.
It's a tough one. When I think about the rest of the fight, uh, Imadaev,
Imadaev.
Imadaev, dude, I need to work on my pronunciation. Anyways, Imadaev, when you take a look at, he had a really difficult time trying to close the distance, like you said, due to Pereira's footwork.
Yeah.
But the other thing I noticed too is Imadaev was reacting so quickly to
Yeah.
feints from Pereira. So as soon as he started trying to close the distance, Pereira just had to give him a quick little feint with something, and
He's
then
out.
Imadaev would take 2 or 3 steps back
Yeah.
every single time. So Pereira didn't have to worry very much about Imadaev trying to close the distance because all he had to do was just feint, and he was gone again.
Yeah.
So Imadaev made it way too easy, and Pereira looked like he was a weight class above Imadaev as well, man. He is
Yeah, he looked
swole,
Yeah, he looked jacked.
uber jacked, yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does next. That's a fun division. I would love to see him fight someone like Anthony Pettis or something. That'd be such a
Yeah,
fun fight.
and the
He's a
call
super.
out,
Yeah,
I don't know how I felt about the call out. It's like, dude, you wasted a call out there.
yeah.
Masvidal isn't gonna get up off of bed for a fight
Hell
against
no.
Pereira. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
He is a superstar in the making, though. If he continues winning, his cardio looked good. That's been his biggest weakness is his discipline and his cardio. But he looked good with his antics in the cage. He's gonna be
Dude.
something to watch for. Yeah, and he's
Oh
just
my
sitting with
God.
it cocked like a Mario character or some shit, dude.
And he slapped the shit out of him
Yeah,
a few times.
yeah,
And the funny part though is that he kisses his
Yeah.
hand, holds it up like, dude, this shit's coming.
yeah,
This shit's coming, and slapped the shit out of him. And I thought, like, man, if we can get this Pereira on a regular basis, like he went in on a mission,
yeah.
and he didn't want to just go in and be flashy, like we talked about earlier. He wanted to go in and make a statement.
Yeah,
That a statement that said, "I'm one of the better fighters in the division.
mm-hmm.
I got more skill
Separate
set.
me from the pack. Yeah,
Yeah, I got more skill set than most of the others. And also, don't touch me during weigh-ins
yeah.
because you'll get fucked up.
Because I'll slap back.
Because I'll slap back, man. All right. Do you have anything else on that fight?
No, just a fun fight. It really reminds me of Genki Sudo. It's cool to see people that comfortable in fights where they know they're in a safe spot. Do a little dance real quick. It doesn't seem. It seems like that's just who he is. There's some people who do stuff like that. It seems really forced. It just seems like that's who he is. He's in the moment.
I
He's having
remember
fun.
a fight where he annoyed, I think it was like Dominic Cruz, Anik,
Yeah.
and I can't remember who because he came out dancing.
Yeah.
And he took forever to get to the octagon. And I think like his walkout song, like started over again. And they're like, dude, what are we doing here, man? Like just get to
Yeah.
the fucking octagon already. So he can be a little overboard sometimes.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I think he just needs to find that balance and he'll be fine. He'll be a
Yeah.
superstar for
I
sure.
think he found it in this fight. If he comes out like this every single fight, That's a superstar right there. I don't know if he's a
I'll watch
champion.
him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever get the belt with people stylistically with people like Usman at the top and Colby, these heavy pressure wrestler guys. I think that's probably going to end up being his kryptonite. Um, but we'll see.
We have yet to see.
Yeah.
OSP versus Menafield.
Yeah, this was a fight that I was really bummed when it first got delayed because I really like Menafield and I really like OSP, depending on which OSP shows up. And we got I think the best of both of them. Menafield is needs to start getting included into best body in the UFC conversations because oh my god.
Bodied up.
Yeah, he looks like a
Bodied
drawing. He
up.
looks like someone drew a superhero, and that's who he is.
Yeah, it's
Super bodied
insane.
up.
Super bodied up.
Yeah.
Menafield, I think, was a little hesitant. At least it seemed that way. I don't know whether he was trying to pace himself or what was going on, but OSP had this quick right hand that kept on finding a home. And there
Yeah.
was a few times where I felt like if Menafield used a little bit of explosiveness, there were some openings there for him to be able to take advantage of. But it just seemed like he couldn't pull the trigger all the time.
For me, it was he really looked like he was trying and it worked, and it makes sense for his body style, especially fighting taller guys, to use kind of the Tyson head movement and footwork to get in. Um, but like you said, every time he would use his footwork to get in, OSP was what I really liked about OSP was he was switching stances a lot, and Menifield's orthodox, right? So anytime OSP is in the southpaw stance, that body kick is like open, right? It is for both of them, but you can tell Menafield is much more of a puncher, where OSP is much more well-rounded with his striking vocabulary. And when he was in southpaw, he was never jabbing. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was always throwing his left straight. He'd like lean in and just pop him with it, and it was so smooth and constantly.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was the left. It wasn't the right. It was the left. You're right.
Yeah, from his rear, he was almost using it like a jab. It was crazy. And then the only
Leading
time
with
I would
it.
ever see him jab was when he would switch back to when he would switch to orthodox, and then now he's jabbing with that left hand, and then back to southpaw, and then it's like watch for that straight, watch for the push kick to the body, watch for the roundhouse kick to the body with his left, and he did such a good job of using his length with his kicks and that left straight that anytime Menafield would try to close a distance, it was like, psh, nope, and he's out. He just stayed in kicking range so well, and I think Menafield, I don't know if it's because he's not used to fighting southpaws, or it's just because OSP was always first, because Menafield, no matter what, his first step has to be his footwork. It can't be a strike. His first step has to be footwork to get in close enough to land his strike. Striking's number 2 on the list for Menafield in this fight, where OSP, striking can be number 1. He doesn't have to use his footwork to get in close because he can strike at the range. So anytime, if their both first steps are Menafield's footwork to get in close, but at the same time, OSP's first step is striking. So every time he takes his steps in, OSP's striking, he has to back out. He can never be first in this. The only time he can be first is if they're in kind of like a scramble, and that's kind of where he had success, where OSP got caught maybe up against the cage or in a strike of his own. He was always first. Menafield just couldn't get off.
This was a perfect reminder to me why I'm not a professional striking coach or or a cornerman, because coming out of the first round, I was thinking and like talking to the screen. I'm like, dude, you gotta explode in. There's there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
You know, and then he does that,
And
and
when he
OSP had the beautiful counter left
Yeah.
foot off his back foot. It reminded me very
Yeah.
much of the Verdum versus
Yeah.
Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught him, and I was like, "Oh shit!" He did exactly what I told him to, and
He
fuck,
got KO'd.
that was a bad idea, Menafield. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Listen to me next time. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Man, OSP, and that just goes to OSP's experience and his being able to stay calm in the fire, you know, because Menafield goes in on lesser guys. Menafield goes in and they kind of freeze up, and he's gonna fuck you up. because you're like defend, 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 whereas OSP's like there's an opening here. Let me just find it real quick. That type of experience where I've been in the firefight before. This is nothing new to me. You're not going to overwhelm someone like OSP, and that was super evident in that fight because man, if I was fighting someone like Menafield, if he used that Tyson bob and weave shuffle in, I'd be like, oh fuck, and then just get KO'd, you know. But OSP is using his footwork, using his range, pops him with that left, drops him. That was, man, those KOs where you sidestep someone and you catch them with the hook and they just face plant and they just go right past you. Fucking gnar. And he almost followed up with some shots, and I don't know if you saw, but when he stood over him before the ref got there, Menafield is on the ground and kind of like looks back up, and I was like, that's a position I never want to be in. That was terrifying to see because Menafield
Where
looks
he's thinking, there's nothing I could do if something's coming down right now.
yeah, just looking up, please don't hit me again. Just please, referee, get here before he drops a bomb on me because, I mean, he's face first on the
Please
ground
don't let
and looks
it
back
be-
this way.
Don't let it be Mario Yamasaki repping my fight right now because I'll take another 5 shots today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Brutal
and when
fight.
I look back at the knockout,
Mhm.
because at first I thought to myself that was a really slow combo that Menafield tried to go in with, because he went in with I want to say it was
body
like
shot.
a right to the body, and then he was coming up with the left. But when he was coming up to the left, he was doing it really slowly, and I think it's because of the sidestep
Yeah.
that OSP threw.
He wasn't
where
there
he
anymore.
went to the body, and he was like, "Shit, what's coming up next?" And he's going with the left, and he got caught. So
Yeah.
props to OSP for that counter. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really good. And yeah, man, he just when the right OSP shows up, he looks so good. His composure in this fight, his striking accuracy. I haven't looked at like the numbers or anything, but it must have been so high because, I mean, he was barely missing with the body shots, with the kicks, and then that left straight off the rear hand was just fucking money, dude.
Speaking of striking accuracy, it's a perfect segue, I think,
Yeah,
for this next fight. And going into this fight, I remember thinking, with Overeem's record at 46-18, like, holy shit. Like, you forget, this guy's been doing it for so
and that's just
long.
MMA.
That's just MMA, yeah.
That's not
And
even kickboxing.
I think taking a look at that record,
Yeah,
right, and thinking about the fight, the only word that comes to mind
Mhm.
is experience.
yeah.
Experience.
One of
That's
the
what
most
it was. That was the
probably
name
the most
of the game here.
experienced. Yeah, probably the most experienced in the UFC, I would imagine. I can't
Yeah,
think of anybody
and
else.
thinking about the fight, and Sakai had some of his little, combos going in, and to
Yeah.
get the announcers a little excited. They're like, "Oh, he's coming in on." Dude, it was just a classic rope-a-dope. I felt like just
Yeah.
up against the cage, high guard. I think
Overeem's
that
yeah.
the
His
the best shot that Sakai got was when Overeem came in with a high boxing guard, and well, Sakai had that uppercut.
Oh yeah, the uppercut was good too.
And that was solid. But other than that, when he was up against the cage with the high boxing guard and he was just kind of taking all the blows, there wasn't anything that really impacted Overeem. And you can even see Overeem's face when Sakai would back off the cage and he'd walk out and he'd put his hands down like,
Yeah.
and he just said
All
that
right. Let's go back to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's just so calm,
Mhm.
so poised, and that's something that you can only get with having over 60 professional fights.
Yeah. He also the only other thing that Sakai landed that I really liked was when he was shelled up. He landed that elbow over the top and it split his head
It
right
cut him.
here. Yeah, that was a good one. But again, that's one that does visual damage. But you're not going to knock someone out by elbowing them on the top of their forehead. You know, that's
Did
a
you
shot
see the
that.
replay on that one? It was like
Yeah.
right with the tip of the elbow, and it just sliced him perfectly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of impact. It was just
Yeah.
perfect enough to cut him right on the forehead.
Yeah, and that was the thing up until the third round. I was like, man, Overeem's striking defense is just fucking fun to watch. His head movement, he was able to evade a lot of stuff, and when he shelled up, he's just rolling with shots, blocking shots, just looked so good. Sakai obviously was landing sometimes, but like you said, the uppercut was by far the biggest that he was landing. And I know we've talked about it. I fucking hate the live tweets on the bottom left of the fights.
Pisses me off.
Yeah, sometimes
Unless it's Derek Lewis.
yeah, those are great. Those are great. But sometimes I like when they have there's a few guys they'll always pull who are doing like round by round scoring. Like, oh, I had a 10-9 for this, this, and this. And sometimes I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, or no, we're doing this Monday, so Saturday, um, they pretty much everybody gave Sakai round one, but I thought that was a clear round for Overeem, round one. Two I gave to Sakai. I had it tied going into the third. Um, and then, man, Overeem might be the scariest person to be in your guard. I would never.
His ground and pound
It
is
reminds me of
just
old school.
insane.
Just I'm here. I'm on the ground to fuck you up. I'm not on the ground to control you. I'm here to fuck you up. His hammer fists were insane from
Gnarly.
guard. From guard, like he could have finished the
Mm-hmm.
fight in guard, in my opinion, if he
Do you
stayed there.
notice too how on the hammer fist there was one specifically that really stood out to me because
There was one that stood
again
out to me too.
his experience he goes down halfway
Yeah,
and Sakai like goes like this and opens up again and he's like whack and
yeah,
I was like oh god it was so gnarly.
yeah. And then elbowing him in the belly.
Elbows. Yes,
What the
the
fuck,
elbows
dude?
to the body. And then when he would just hold his head down and just go short elbow
Mhm.
in, and it might not seem like it's huge because he's not, putting a lot of weight behind it, but even from close quarters like that, and just from that distance, man, it looks so painful for Sakai, and I think it's
Yeah.
a big lesson that he learned in this fight. In I think it was Dominic Cruz, was it? That he's like, man, Sakai looks like the fresher fighter coming out in the second round. He
Mhm.
looks so fresh. And I just thought to myself, man, this is a fight round.
Yeah.
It's not that Overeem doesn't look fresh. I just don't feel like he's wasting
He hasn't
as
started
much
yet.
energy as Sakai.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just getting going. So you see, Overeem, he brought the same energy in the first round as he did in the last round,
Mhm.
where Sakai started off really, really hot, and by that third round, you could just see he was starting to lose a lot
And
of
yeah.
pop behind his little combos that he had going there. His footwork, he looked a lot more flat. It was easier for Overeem to start finding a home for any offense that he was putting out. That takedown, the single leg
As soon as he got the
takedown,
takedown, I was like, this fight's over. No matter,
game
even if he gets
over.
out of this round, because that's something that's super. Another thing that speaks to the experience of Overeem is you saw when Overeem started getting KO'd a lot, he switched to Greg Jackson's and really worked on his footwork and his movement. And he's like, I can't take shots like I used to. I'm going to be not as aggressive. I'm going to pick my shots. I'm going to be on the outside, all this stuff. Then he gets not wrestle fucked, but he gets. I think Curtis Blades beat him with elbows from the top, if I remember right. And then he switched camps to go train with Curtis Blades and has been training with him. And since then, 3 of his last 5 have been stoppages with ground and pound. So, man, his experience and willing to change his game. I mean, he's such an adaptable fighter, man. Like, he's shooting these takedowns, lands 3 out of 3 takedowns in this fight, and just dominates as soon as he gets him down. And granted, Sakai is not the best off his back anyways, but, man, Overeem... And Sakai protested the stoppage at the end, but it's like, dude, your head's bouncing off the floor, you're covered in blood. He's landing these gigantic elbows and these gigantic
It's not gonna get any better for
Donkey
you, buddy.
Kong fucking hammer fist. Yeah. And one thing that I thought was this is like a throwback to like the Just Bleed UFC moments, but fucking we had like a real life Fight Club moment where after Overeem got elbowed and he was bleeding down his forehead, he lands that spinning back kick right to the cup, right? And they take a minute, blood's flowing down now. We got a decent amount of blood on Overeem. Then he gets the takedown and he's on top, and you just see all this blood just dripping onto the face of Sakai, and it's like fucking that scene in Fight Club where fucking Brad Pitt lets Jared Leto fuck him up, and then he gets on top of him. He's like, or no, doesn't he? He does it to the dude who tries to close down the bar, right? He lets the dude
Oh,
fuck him
I don't
up.
remember.
Yeah,
It's been
whatever.
years since I've watched Fight Club.
Regardless, he gets on top of the homeboy and just starts screaming and shaking his head. Blood starts raining down on him. He's like, all right, fuck, you guys can keep going. But fucking Overeem's just on top, and like how demoralizing as you're fucking wiping blood out of your eyes, and it's like, oh yeah, not even your own blood. It's fucking Overeem's blood as he's dominating you. Fucking gnarly, dude.
It was a fun fight.
I love that fight.
I
people
definitely
pe-
enjoy that fight. And
people wanted it to win um, fight of the night, which I do think it was fight of the night. But at the same time, Overeem is probably one of the highest show/win purses in the UFC. I know he gets paid a shit ton every time he fights.
over
Um,
500K, I feel like every single time he goes out there.
yeah, so given that 50 grand to, I think, was there no was there no fight of the night
Muniz,
actually? Well, he got performance of the night. But now that I'm looking at it, Kelleher got 50 grand, Muniz got 50 grand, Pajeda got 50 grand, and OSP got 50 grand. So nobody actually, no fight, no both fighters got 50 grand. So I guess they didn't have like a fight of the night.
poor, poor Sakai.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, I know that dude's making bank, but
I know. Yeah, I
you
didn't
know
even
what I
think
mean?
about that.
Like,
Yeah,
let's
damn, brutal. And he got fucked up,
yeah.
man. He looked good in those first rounds, but you could tell Overeem was like on another level. He just looked so good. I love Overeem too.
Was it after the third round? Because the third round ended on the ground as well, and you hear the the third round be over. Overeem pops right back up, and Sakai is just laying there.
Yeah,
And I just thought to myself, like, dude's probably just rethinking all his life decisions that led up to this point.
yeah.
That because he looked
Just why am
miserable,
I here?
looked absolutely miserable.
Yeah,
And I can't think of a time, at least not on the UFC, that I've seen Sakai in that position. So it was
yeah.
probably new territory for him. I'm
Well,
sure this is something he trains on, but it's different when you have somebody like Overeem on top of you with that gnarly ground and pound, where
mhm,
he's probably thinking at that point in time, like, shit, I hope
yeah,
this doesn't happen again in the very next round because then I'm fucked.
yeah,
And it did.
yeah. There's sometimes where it's like, yeah, just because you're on your back doesn't mean you're losing. Every single second he was on his back, he was losing. Overeem is
Mm.
just fucking. That's what I was thinking. I was like, in jiu-jitsu, I like being on my back. I like having people in my guard. That's where I feel the most comfortable. Um, and I've never thought like, yeah, that's not where I would want to be against a certain person. I've always been like, that's where I'm most comfortable. That's where I'm going to have the most success, no matter, even if I'm getting fucked up. That's where I'm going to be the most comfortable. But then watching Overeem, it's like, I would never want to be on bottom against Overeem. Fucking terrifying. Every single position where, even the safe positions, he was fucking them up. And not just
Oh
fucking them up,
yeah.
but like could potentially be KOing him. Those elbows were fucking gnarly, dude. I mean, he was bouncing
Yeah.
off the ground.
There's
Bad.
levels. There's
Yeah.
levels to this game.
Yeah.
There's levels. So for Overeem, who's next? I keep on seeing John Jones versus Overeem,
hmm
and honestly, I love the idea of that fight.
I would love to watch that. The realistic choice,
But
though, yeah, the realistic choice is probably a rematch with Rosenstruck or
yep,
um, potentially Derek Lewis, depending what happens with his fight against Curtis Blades. Um, I think
well, he was
John,
winning most of the fight against Rosenstruck.
and he didn't get KO'd. He was not
Yeah,
out. That
he almost
stoppage was
lost his lip.
the stoppage was, yeah, he almost lost a lip. He did get dropped, but I mean, hands on the ground as you get dropped. As Big John would say, that's a tier one knockdown. That's not a he's out.
Yeah,
So, and the fight he was winning, he won every round of that fight. And then it sucks because if they didn't call that fight and it went to decision, he would have won the fight and he would be probably in title contention right now. If you look at his last run, which is crazy to think because goddamn, he's 40 years old, and I mean, this was a 66th MMA fight, not to mention all his K1 fights. But
40
um,
years old and not Ubereem anymore. That's pretty impressive.
Econoreem. So yeah, I would like to see him fight Rosenstruck, especially since now they're both coming off wins. Rosenstruck got the KO over JDS, and I think the the top is pretty much waterlogged right now. You have potentially the rumors of Brock coming back. Stipe versus Francis is all but confirmed. John Jones is not going to fight anybody outside of a title fight unless it's Brock Lesnar, in my opinion. So, and Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades are tied up. Overeem versus Rosenstruck's like the only thing that makes sense to me.
Can you imagine? No, and that makes absolute sense. That's like a Sufa, you know what I mean? Like Lorenzo Fertitta sense.
Yeah.
But right now, in the WME days, where I think about, just imagine this. One pay-per-view, John Jones versus Overeem. Next pay-per-view, Ngannou versus Stipe. And that sets up, whether it's John Jones versus Ngannou, John Jones versus Stipe, whoever, or Overeem.
Yeah.
You have Overeem's last title run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Overeem wouldn't mind if you tell him, hey, you win this against John Jones, you're getting another shot at the title.
Yeah.
John Jones, hey, you're getting a big payday, you win this one, you're getting a shot at the title. I just, as a fan, that gets me excited. Like I'm pumped for that. Almost like a mini tournament there to see who's gonna end up fighting next.
Yeah, I would love for that. I would love to see I mean, if we threw rankings out of the window, right? John Jones versus Overeem is such a fun fight.
Which, let's be real, it pretty much does most of the time.
Yeah, and they have fought before, or at least in training. They've sparred against each other probably hundreds of times.
I want to see it.
I
want to see it.
Yeah.
All right. So I did want to say this last video we put up. Excellent job, by the way, Will, with the video, the editing. You got some awesome clips in there, man. Genki Sudo, exactly what you're talking about with the arms going back. I had forgotten that, and it got me laughing so hard. The Chael Sonnen video clips, where he's talking about Tito's wife or ex-wife. The www.dorksfrombrazil.com, like all those videos, man. Just want to give you props on that.
Password,
it was awesome.
Not required.
Not required.
Username, not required.
Such good stuff. And taking a look at some of the comments here. So we have George. He said his people here, he mentioned Rampage Jackson, Frank Shamrock, Max Holloway, Michael the Count Bisping, and Dominic Cruz. So thinking about Max Holloway, somebody that doesn't try very hard again to be a huge persona within MMA.
Yeah.
But he's just one of the most lovable people in all of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, he's just so down.
He is. And I've just adopted his saying, and I think I've told it to you a million times too, Will, that it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. We have, let me see here. Somebody named M, shout out to you, M, whoever you are, put down Diaz brothers, Connor, and Bisping.
Yeah.
So 2 mentions of Bisping there. Diaz brothers got another shout out. We have C. Fred. Said great episode going through. Says agrees. Diaz brothers were misunderstood. So again, we talked about how Nick Diaz at a different time probably could have been a lot bigger than he actually was, right? And then Kevin Skogan also messaged. Let's see here. He said Sonnen, McGregor, Diaz brothers, best at talking trash. Also called out Matt Serra and Mirko Krokop.
Yeah, he's obsessed with Matt Serra.
They had the same body build, I feel like.
Yeah, but I mean, how could you not? Matt Serra's fucking awesome, dude. And Skogan, every time we talk about him, he always brings up when he knocked out George St. Pierre. And when they're putting the belt on him, he like looks down, he's like, it's fucking classic, dude. Oh man, I posted that video on Reddit too, and you're gonna love this. The top comment was number 1, Chael Sonnen. Number 2, the bad guy. Number 3, the American gangster.
Number 4, gangster from Westland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I love that. So
the second
whoever
top
wrote
comment.
that in.
Yeah, the second top
100%.
comment. The second one is number 1, Chael. Number 2, loser number 1. Number 3, loser number 2. One that I should have said as an honorable mention that other people said too was Boss Rutan. Boss Rutan's Great personality, great character.
Great personality, and I think that somebody that just outside of the octagon as well.
Hmm.
Have you seen him in that movie? What's it called?
Here comes the boom.
God, what? Here Comes the Boom. He did
Yeah,
such a phenomenal job in that movie that I thought to myself, why the fuck hasn't anybody else picked up Boss Scruton for any more movies? When he's like a
yeah,
personal trainer and he shows up at his gym and then he's like
yeah,
a cycling instructor all of a sudden. But
yeah.
dude, I mean, this guy's fucking money, man.
Dude, when he was doing those self defense videos, oh my god! In like the bar fights, like how to survive a
Bang,
bar fight.
bang.
Dude, the actors that he got to be like the bar fighters, they're like wet noodles, bro. He's just like moving them around and like so funny, dude. Man,
Bostrom, great character too, man. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good one. I don't know how that one slipped my mind.
I know. Yeah,
But that's an excellent one too. Any other ones that stick out to you? I mean, Mike Bisping. I feel like a lot of people mention Mike Bisping. I
yeah,
love Mike Bisping. I think he does an excellent job as a commentator as well, and
yeah.
somebody that has a lot of shit talking in his
Hmm.
repertoire, and has
Yeah,
used it to his advantage to get in a lot of fighters' heads before too.
yeah.
But
Well,
somebody that seems like he's pretty fun.
yeah, the other person that I thought of after the fact, and we both said it, like this is one of those things where as soon as we're done recording this video, we're gonna think of other guys like, oh, how could we forget him? But and it's a kind of a bummer at the end of the story, but uh, Mayhem
No,
Miller,
Mayhem Miller. Yeah.
Mayhem Miller, man,
Absolutely.
back
We're
in
talking
the
about somebody else that comes out fucking dancing and girls
yeah,
behind
just
him
so
dancing
crazy.
and
I mean, we talked about him in that video because we talked about the Strikeforce brawl, but um, man, on his own, man, I mean. How many fans of MMA were born because of his TV show?
bully beatdown.
Yeah, there had to be so many people who saw that who had never seen fighting, just watched that show, saw this wacky, crazy guy, and then were watching it, and then you get people like Andre Arlovsky. I mean, the fact that they had
I
Andre
remember that.
Arlovsky on that show
On
is
bully beatdown.
that's almost a crime to have some random guy
Yeah.
fight Andre Arlovsky. Like, obviously, Arlovsky's not gonna like fucking
Wreck 'em.
pride soccer kick this dude or anything crazy, but the worst beatdown though was when Mayhem got in there and did it, and he just beat the shit out of some guy. It's like, man, what a fun
That was
show,
such a
man.
good show. And
Yeah,
then
Mayhem was sick,
the
man.
the tough between him and Bisbing was one of my favorite toughs too, one of my favorite
What
seasons.
one of my favorite moments in tough history. At the time, I could not stand Bisping, and it was when they did like remember they would do like the little coaches challenge where they'd like pit them against each other in like a sport or something. Theirs was ping pong, maybe the lamest one they've ever done. But at the end, Bisping wins and he gets up on the ping pong table and he's like dancing and showboating and talking a bunch of shit, and then he fucking falls off straight onto his ass onto the floor. And it was one of the most hilarious things of this guy talking a bunch of shit, making a complete ass out of himself. And then it just
Uh,
falls on the ground. And Mayhem looks back as he falls, dude. It's like one of the funniest things ever. Since
Instant
then, I've
karma.
grown to love Bisping, but back then I couldn't stand him, and I was like, this was my favorite moment.
I'm the same way with Bisbing. It's so funny you mentioned those coaches challenges because the other day I just happened to, how YouTube takes you down a rabbit hole,
Hmm.
and I ended up on the Conor versus Uriah Faber
That
one where
was
they're tossing
classic.
a watermelon out of
Yeah.
the and again, Uriah Faber is another one where California kid, that energy, is somebody that I think comes to my mind as another one of those personalities
Hmm.
that made a was one of the big names for the smaller fighters at first in the
Yeah.
WEC, and you see him transition to the UFC.
A
Super
pioneer.
cool, laid back personality, what you would consider a California kid,
Yeah.
right? So another one of those that we did mention before that I thought of afterwards.
Yeah, their banter, Connor and Uriah, their banter on that show that season was so good because you could tell they were trying to talk shit, but you could tell they both loved each other. And
They
like,
thought that the one another thought that the other one was funny, and you
yeah,
could tell because one of them would talk shit, the other one would laugh. Like
yeah,
McGregor would be like, "You look like a retired surfer,"
yeah.
and
And then he came
the
over
other
with
one laughs.
Faber comes up like the next week with flip flops. He gives Connor some flip
Oh
flops,
yeah,
and Connor's just laughing. He doesn't even talk shit back. Like he's just fucking laughing. So their
that was
their
a good
little
one
like
too.
weird bromance. There's a video you could find where it's like it comes up a lot on YouTube because it's got like a ton of views and stuff. So they push it.
Where he
But
slams McGregor.
No, where it's like a compilation of that whole season of them talking shit to each other.
Oh,
But it's like something like they talk shit, but like you could tell they love each other, some bullshit title like that. And it's just so funny. Like you could tell they were just like having a blast doing that the whole time. It's so
well,
funny.
and I think of that one where I just mentioned where he slams McGregor up against the wall. I'm sure you've seen that one, where
Yeah.
McGregor's cutting down to 145, which I don't know how he ever did it, man.
Yeah.
That seems like such a tough cut for him. And he runs into him as McGregor's trying to go to the bathroom, and he's like sizing him up. He's like, dude, you look pretty small right now, man. He starts
Yeah.
grabbing him. McGregor grabs him back, so he slams him against the wall. And they separate him, and Uriah just has the biggest smile on his face and like
Yeah.
walks around with like little pep in his step, and I love it, man. I love
Yeah.
it. Good shit.
Good
Well,
stuff.
do you have anything else for this week, Will?
No, that's pretty much it.
I think we covered everything already, man. So that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for listening to Story of the Fight.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening to the Story of the Fight. We really appreciate everybody's support. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, and when you do subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification button as well. That way you get notified whenever we upload anything new. Don't forget to hit the like button. It goes a long way for us. And leave some comments. We love interacting with everybody.
Yeah, and if you want to stay even more up to date, you can follow us at Story of the Fight on Instagram and Twitter. And you can email us at storyofthefight@gmail.com. Ask questions, give us feedback, critique us. We want to make this better, and input helps us do that.
Thanks for listening to Story of the Fight, everybody.